All right, welcome everybody. Here we are on the Fall Forum Part 2. Very excited to be with you here today. I'm with my good friend Owen. Owen Video, as he's known, but also Owen Himsath is his name. He is a strong believer. He's a YouTube expert. And if you're going to be at the Modern Church Leader Conference, which I know some of you are, he's going to be the main stage MC. So it's very exciting to have you here on Part 2, Owen. Let's get this show going. How are you doing
Yeah,
today?
I'm so good. I'm excited to be here. And Phil, when you say my good friend Owen, that's not just sort of like a thing. Like you and I are friends. Like we are believers, we're brothers. We came to know each other as business contacts, absolutely. But over time, like a great relationship has developed. You've been in my home.
Yep.
I've delivered things to your kids. And so I want the audience to know that there's like just a great connection here between us today.
Yeah, and I was there praying with you when you had cancer. Like we've
Yeah.
walked through the valleys and we've walked on the heights together. But really excited for this conversation today
Yeah.
about YouTube and the church. Give me just a short background on how did you get into YouTube and how did you become known as Owen Video? Like
Yeah.
that's got to be a
Yeah.
story.
Man, let me give you the quick version is that ever since my dad came home with a big shoulder mount VHS cassette tape player, I was in elementary school and I was playing with video cameras my whole life, doing stop motion animation films and skits with my brothers and sisters and the neighborhood kids. So that had always been a part of my life. And growing up in sort of a broken home, I stumbled and bumbled, through my young adult years and was living a very lost and secular life. And yet in the back of my mind, I was very much like, I want to be an SNL star, like Saturday Night Live. I want to write TV shows. Right. And I was even, getting these small Kodak one-click cameras, not the disposable, but, camera technology was changing at this time. It wasn't what it is today. And we were using those cameras and we were putting together videos for the clients that we had. I was in sales of some kind at that time. But my life came to a crashing standstill, a point where I had to choose, what was going to happen. And, it started on Judge Judy. My girlfriend and I broke up, and somehow it got to the Judge Judy producers. And so we ended up breaking up on Judge Judy. I come off of that show broken, tired. What am I going to do with my life? I knew I wanted to do video, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with the spiritual side of my life. And I began. The short story is that my girlfriend at the time told me to go watch a video by Joel Kramer. And this was an apologetic style video. And it was through that video and the other books and media that my girlfriend showed me that I came to a knowledge of the Lord, bro. I got saved watching a Joel Kramer video in my dad's basement, wondering, what am I going to do with my life? And I woke up the next day. I didn't know what had happened, man. Like I just said the sinner's prayer, right? Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not a saved person. I want to follow Jesus Christ. And I say this prayer, so I'm like saying this prayer. I rewound it. I said the prayer again, just make sure like I got all before I sent it up, you know what I mean? That's what my spiritual knowledge was like. And I was immediately changed. There's a whole process by which I was like, what is going on? I woke up the next day. I'm like Dick Van Dyke. I'm like skipping to a step. I'm like, what is going on with me? And I woke up that next day and I was committed to the Lord and I was committed to video. I was like, my life just got changed from a video. I want to change people's lives with video. And so I've just continued to do that. I've been making video for business owners. That's how I got the name Owen Video, is because whenever you saw me, I had a video camera in my hand and I'm filming videos for the local business owners. I was going door to door, and you meet businesses, but you meet churches. I've done video for churches. I've been the video guy. I've coached churches. All through COVID, we ran tech for live streaming services. I spoke at a live streaming for services conference. So it's like, I also made Christian sketch comedy that went viral on YouTube. And so it's like, my life is deeply connected to the church and to the art and passion and science of video.
I love that story, and there's so many places we could already go, but I'm going to make sure we channel this to the audience that's here today, which are churches who are trying to figure out technology. And I'm going to assume, folks, that if you're here today, you're listening because you want to understand how to leverage YouTube even more to get engagement and reach. And what I love about your story, Owen, is how video changed your life,
Yep.
right? How you you heard the salvation message through a video and you understood the power of what a video can do. And
Yeah.
all of us who are pastors and church leaders who are here, we understand that we've got this life-saving, life-changing message, and video is one of the vehicles that we can use. Many of us don't know how to use it very well. So I'd love you to start with, what are some of the things you see us doing that makes you cringe that we need to change right away and would instantly change the impact that we're having?
Awesome. I've met with tons of churches and I've advised on various different levels there. And I think the biggest issue is actually strategy and how you should be broadcasting your message to the public on social media in a way that will be received. This is a thing that you'll come head to head with the elders on this. You'll come head to head with one of the teachers on this, right? You may come head to head with the guy who runs your sound, thinking he's your tech guy, right? So he's my tech guy, so he'll handle the YouTube channel. When YouTube channels are handled by strategists, YouTube channels are handled, like a football coach drawing X's and O's on the screen. It's like, here's what we're going to do with the Sunday service, and then here's what we're going to do with the Sunday service after the fact. Here's what we're going to do with the pastor's weekly message, and then here's how we're going to wrap that up and deliver that online. And what I see happening is there is no strategy considered, which in itself is a strategy, right? It's like a post and pray scenario.
Yeah.
Number one problem. Number two problem is a lack of stewardship over the tools, the time, the treasure that God has given you for his kingdom. Listen, pastors don't like this. And I want to say it with grace and truth, because what does a pastor need? Like one more person criticizing their message? Geez Louise, guys. Like, I pray God never calls me to be the pastor of a church. Lord, help me. You know what I'm saying? I get you got a tough job, but here's one of those jobs is not to be a YouTube strategist. And you have to own the results. So what happens is pastors and other leader type people in the church get into this place of, it doesn't matter how well it does. God called me to this message. It doesn't matter if we only get 7 views. God called me to this message. I'm not changing this message. I'm a soldier for the Lord, right? It's like all this pride stuff. When God is showing you, hey, it's not working. Hey, I gave you this fire. You're putting it under a bushel. It's your bushel. I didn't give you that bushel. I didn't tell you not to hire a YouTube coach. I didn't tell you to just do it your way or the highway. It's like, yes, that's your message. But what I need you to do is partner with people in the church to get that message out and digestible by an audience. And that's what we help people do. We help people do. It's like, where does your live stream go? Boom. Where does your weekly message go? Boom. And you get these workflows going. And then all of a sudden, you're getting more exposure. More people are asking about you. More people are filling out your inquiry forms. Like, I think that's a very powerful. More people find you on Google Maps. And I think that's really important.
So you're raising some interesting questions for a pastor. I'm just going to put on my pastor preacher hat for a minute and say, do I need to be writing my sermons thinking about YouTube, thinking about how's this going to play on YouTube? Or is that something that's done after the fact?
Oh, great question. I would say no. Your sermon needs to be written for the Sunday morning crowd that needs to hear the message. That's who your sermon is for. What you do on YouTube should be designed for an audience you're trying to attract on YouTube. So let's go back to that strategy piece. Well, who are you? This is how it starts. The first question is, who are you trying to reach, right? And when we look at our marketplaces, I want you to think about it like a dartboard, where maybe the center of the dartboard is kind of like people walking into our church. Okay. But YouTube is much bigger than that, right? So when we talk about YouTube, yeah, I understand you want to get people walking into your church, but let's actually go bigger than that. Who are those people? And it usually, Phil, comes down to like two different categories. It's like the churched, right? Like Christianized Americans, right? Like they're we're not looking to convert Muslims on this channel, right? Or we're not talking to atheists, right? So usually it's going to be like the spiritually curious or the like churched America. And you got to know like who you're talking to, because then you're going to build a video strategy based on the problems and sort of the solutions for life problems that these people are looking for, right? You want to speak their language, and you're not always going to do that on a Sunday sermon, right? It's two different audiences. So we talk about wide net videos that can really reach the whole culture, the biggest chunk of culture. And then we talk about niche videos that hit the niche of that culture that you're looking for. For example, men. Furthermore, men struggling with alcohol addiction or porn addiction.
Okay.
That could be a 5-part video series you do in fall as part of a year-long strategy.
So these videos are independent of
Yeah.
sermons, and it's addressing the issues. So I know one question that a pastor is going to be asking himself is, well, I'm here for my city. I live in Wichita,
Yes.
Kansas. And so
Yes.
I'm here for people in my city. YouTube reaches the whole world.
Yes.
How do I differentiate my strategy for the local versus the global? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that really borders, Phil, on sort of this pride of what God has called you to do.
Hmm,
And what I have to do a lot is challenge that way of thinking, right? Because here's the reality is God put you in a city with a church. Amen. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. You absolutely have responsibility to that. But you also have this phone in your hand that can reach a global audience.
right.
Now, if you the fact that you have that, right, to me says like God has given you the ability to do both, to hit two birds with one stone, right? The same topics that are going to be valuable to your local church area, your city, are going to be valuable to the wider audience. And YouTube is a dance between the two, right? It's like I'm going to do a video on topic X, but I'm going to do it in a way that's going to attract the biggest possible audience. Then I'm going to do another version of that really targets sort of like this area. Now, a strategy like that, Phil, I would be doing that to appease the pastor. I don't know that's something you can do to feel good about reaching the city. But I believe that YouTube is a bigger message than that. You are going to reach people. You have a message, man. Let me tell you what happened. I went to a conference
Mm,
in St. Louis, Missouri, and I had been struggling emotionally. I'm a cancer survivor. Praise the Lord. I went 100% natural. I did chemo, I did radiation, almost killed me. And then 4 years later, the cancer came back. God said, go natural, follow me. Led me to doctors, therapies, treatments. I'm now cancer-free for over a year. Praise the Lord.
amen.
Um, so on that journey, remind me where we were going. I got sidetracked with my story.
We were talking about the difference between local and global.
St. Louis, Missouri. I'm going to St. Louis, Missouri. I'm struggling in my mind because my health, oh my gosh, like things are bothering me. Like, man, God, it's like it was ever going to go away. The side effects, my business, my life, it seems like so much. And I go to St. Louis to a business conference where a random person, I mean, they were at the conference, but they came up to me and they spoke into me using words it would not be possible for another human to know that those were the words that I had been struggling with in prayer with the Lord. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a divine appointment, right? I had to go to St. Louis, Missouri to hear that message. So I understand that God gave you dominion over this local city, but there is someone in Canada that needs to hear your message the way that you preach it, the way that God gave it to you to be preached. There are people in Minnesota who will never come to your church, but they were flipping through a couple of podcasts and that title hit them right where they needed to be hit. And to say, well, I'm not going to make that video because God called me to this city, I think fails to see maybe a bigger picture that God might be calling you to. And if you're feeling convicted by this, maybe God's calling you to something bigger. That doesn't mean you become a YouTube preacher, pastor, star. There is such a thing as stewardship over the message, the power that God gave you, right? Like God may want your message in more ears and more eyes of people that you don't even know about. And that's up to him, brother. That's up to him.
Yeah. You know Marley Jacks, I think, right?
Yeah.
So her story is really interesting. She's a YouTube influencer, been teaching for a long time, but just in the last 6 months, I think it was, she sat down in kind of a desperate place, opened up her computer and turned on YouTube, or pulled up YouTube. The first video she saw was a church in Tulsa, and she lives in Salt Lake.
There you go.
And there's a service there. She hears the message of salvation, and she prays right there and then, doesn't know what she's doing, and starts asking questions online. I think that's just a testimony to, you don't know who your video is going to reach, just like the one that you saw, which was, put on a tape, because that was before YouTube existed, but that's really powerful.
No, it was a DVD. It was a DVD.
Oh, it was DVD.
Yeah. It's like I gave you a 15-year story, all wrapped up into one.
All right. So again, pastors, we're all busy, right? So we're preparing sermons, we're leading a church, we're leading a ministry. What's the way to get into YouTube creation that's not going to overwhelm us? Like, what are some of the first steps? Or let's start with someone who doesn't have one, or they're in the neophyte stage, and then we'll get to someone who's got a little bit more developed strategy.
Okay, let's talk about real quick top level stuff, right? Your YouTube channel is not your announcement channel. Okay, that's Instagram, that's Facebook. YouTube is your Netflix. YouTube is where the series goes, right? YouTube is where the skits maybe go. Now, I want you to think about that, because it's not an announcement board. I think that's very, very key. It's going to kill your channel. YouTube is a destination. So what you want to do is you want to have a show attitude towards it. And this is what I think makes churches so like it's ripe for you guys. You guys have all the tech. You guys have the best tech. You all have teams. And by integrating a YouTube strategy into your technology ministry, where you recognize that the guy pushing the light board is not the guy to run the strategy, but he is the guy to push the buttons when it's time to execute the strategy, right? There is a thing called YouTube strategy. So what I want to see you do is Sunday sermons and Sunday live streams are on their own channel. And it's called like Your Church Live Stream Channel, right? You're going to have a separate channel that has YouTube first content, meaning we make the content for YouTube. The pastor at my church, a guy named Brian Hurlbutt. If anybody out there knows Brian Hurlbutt, like give me a comment or come say hi to me at the conference. I really enjoy Pastor B. He does a daily video for the congregation, right? So every day it's like Brian's thoughts, right? So what we talked about yesterday or the day before at this YouTube meeting that we had with him was how to make that for a YouTube audience first, right? This kind of goes back to the nation versus the city kind of mindset. It's like, look, let's go YouTube first on this. Your workflow's already there. You're already kind of doing a daily message. So that's great. So now let's work on the title and the interest of that message, right? Are we producing in a theme? And you could do a thing where you're going to like 5 weeks in the book of Daniel, like seeing it. I'm not so sure, but 5 weeks on thriving, 5 weeks on like thriving in Babylon type stuff, overcoming challenges and pains. This might be received better. Now, it might still be a 5-part series on Daniel. You get what I'm saying here? But right. YouTube likes it when you create in themes. When What I want to what I would steer away from is like, we're going to go through like 12 weeks on this or 12 weeks like that. You're going to be in a really competitive, it's going to be hard to, there's a lot of that stuff out there. So you do want to have sort of an interesting perspective. This is where I think pastors can really speak into the culture and really speak into the lives of people who are listening. So that goes on a separate channel. It's YouTube, its own content. That's where you're going to try things. You're going to title things, and you're going to try to get growth. Now, your ministries, the women's ministry, Instagram pages, absolutely. Facebook groups, absolutely. A separate YouTube channel? No. Does the women's ministry need like a playlist on our channel? No, neither does the men's ministry. If you are going to do that, third channel called Church Name Ministries channel, and all the ministries go there. It's the men's ministry, the women's ministry, the kids ministry. That could be your announcement board. Okay. But you can't have crummy content on a channel where there's intentional content for obvious reasons. You post a video that goes nuts, and then your next one's like a church announcement or a women's ministries thing. It's like nobody tunes in. YouTube's like, oh, nobody wants this channel anymore. So YouTube is about building on successes. And I feel like this gets me into my stewardship vein is like, some of you guys are doing videos and they get 1,200 views or like 10,000 views. And you go, I don't know why that happened. But like, it's your job to sort of explore that. And this is what we help churches do. It's like, okay, you had an outlier or a breakout video. What was it on? Why? Was there a timing thing? Right? Sometimes it's obvious, right? Sometimes, man, our Trump message did really well the day after the assassination or whatever. Great. I just got us banned on 3 networks. But the idea is sometimes timeliness. It's like, well, that was really timely. So how can we duplicate it, right? There's too much. Oh, I had a couple videos. Yeah, they really went nuts, but I don't know why. And I just went back to doing the same thing I do all the time. This is how I view that, is like you're trying this stuff, right? It's like 27 views, 114 views. It's like, man, it's 57 views. And then all of a sudden, 3,000 views, 1,200 views. Oh, man, that's wow. Praise the Lord. And you move on. It's like, no. Do more of that. Dig into that. Imagine that you go to a farmer's market with your church. You got a table out and you're recruiting people. Farmers recruiting, giving the gospel, evangelizing. And let's say you go to this farmer's market with a booth and like 25 people come to church on Sunday. Can you imagine going like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what, but I'm not going back to the farmer's market. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to duplicate what works. God just opened a door for you. God's like, there you go. Fall into it. When I got cancer, in here, I know I talk so much, Phil. When I got cancer, God didn't show me. God wasn't like, here's the protocol. I want you to do, fruits and vegetables and exercise and fasting. It was like one vein at a time. He put a book, a person, a word in front of me. And it was like up to me to explore that. It's like, thank you, God, for opening that door. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to explore that.
Yeah, and this is definitely an experiment thing. By the way, folks, if you're coming to Modern Church Leader, you want to follow Owen. This is his website, owenvideo.com. Make sure you follow him. But if you haven't bought your ticket yet, I want to make sure you know that there's a really great deal going on right now where you can name your own price. So go to mclconference.com/NYOP, name your own price. And you can come because the team at Tidely wants to see you there. And Owen's going to be there. He's going to be emceeing, but when he's not on the stage emceeing, he's going to be available to have conversations about what we're talking about right now. This is like, you can tell his passion. He loves talking about this. Owen, I know in the past you've told me that it takes a while to get YouTube kind of charged up to start showing your stuff. I feel like you've told me it's 6 months of consistency, but maybe you can elaborate on some of those like real specifics, like how long should the videos be? How often should we post? And how long do we need to wait until we're going to start seeing something before we say, this isn't working, or, whatever.
Look, I believe that you can be successful on your very next video. And what our company is good at is 5Xing or 10Xing your very next piece. Sometimes we're taking what you've made and optimizing it. Other times we're kind of coming in from scratch and starting from the very beginning and like, let's build a show about X, or let's build a series about X. And we want to show you that results can happen really, really quickly. So I believe that that's possible. I believe you get 10,000 views on your next video. And I think one of the things I struggle with is the client doesn't want to do it for some preconceived notion of like, wow, we don't do that kind of thing. And it's like, again, that's what I'm here to challenge a little bit, is like, man, you're here to get that message out. We got to do what works, right? And of course, there's like, you know, the morals and values thing as well, right? But I got to tell you, Phil, there's this big thing. Like I hear church people love to throw around clickbait. They love to throw around words like impact, right? Like, we're not looking for views, Owen. We're looking for kingdom impact, right? This immeasurable thing that sort of secures everyone's job. And I think that you have to be bold, and we have to be, we have to really acknowledge that nobody can see how many people heard your podcast. Nobody can see it. If they did, if they could, how proud would you be of it?
Right.
And YouTube is very public. And so there's a reason for that, right? Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels are very public. And so we need to be willing to like own the results. Okay. So going into it with like, we're going to grow this thing and creating some really clear measurables, right? Like, we want to see 10,000 subscribers in a year. How are you going to do that? Oh my gosh. That's not your job. Your job is set the goal. Right. And this is what we kind of help you do, is we think based on what we've seen, as we do, let's say we get 3,000 subscribers this year. We want to have 100,000 views on the channel. Think about that. That's 100,000 people that saw your church, saw your message by the end of the year. Right. So we're setting up these really clear guidelines. And then we're creating videos designed to do those things. Here's 3 big categories. We want videos that can be found on search. Now, search is usually Google, okay? But it is YouTube as well. But search is, you're going to attract someone based on what they're searching for. Gotquestions.org is phenomenal. What a great resource. Like, they come up on all the Google searches, right? You want to have videos like that, right? Like videos like, I don't even know if they have videos, but videos like their blogs, right? Things that people search for. This way you have a really specific audience, and you make those videos a certain way, right? Like, search engine videos should probably be between 15 and 20 minutes. But that also depends on, like, are you repeating yourself? Like, we optimize for watch time, right? Is somebody clicked, that's half the battle. Now let's not lose them with a crummy video, right? Like, we need to make sure the video kind of moves along nicely and keeps our people interested. So search is a little more premeditated. We do fewer of those, higher quality.
Define the term search engine video. You mean that you're creating a video just primarily for the search engine, so it will be discovered?
Yeah. A video is always who first. It's always, who is this video for first?
Okay.
So we're thinking about, okay, we've already determined our audience is like Christianized America, right? We're looking for Christians or people who think of themselves as Christians, right? They're looking for spiritual podcasts. They're looking for Christian podcasts. So now that we know that, what are the topics and the titles that audience would be interested in, and what are they searching for online, right? So we're going to make videos that have the same title as the words we think they would type into a search engine, right? We did recently, we did some work with Family Life organization. We loved working with Family Life in Campus Crusade. We took them from 0,000 to 15,000 views per week and beyond that. But we did that in just the first 30 days of uploading videos. Our first video we uploaded was like a 10x, 15x video, because we were asking good questions. We were talking about themes. So the search theme we did was something like how to pray. And search engine videos usually take a little bit longer time, 90 days. But they may fizzle out. They may just not be interesting enough, or there's too much competition out there, right? There's a risk with all of it. So we make some search engine videos. We make a plan, and we're doing like 2 of these a month, maybe.
Okay.
We also want a suggested plan. Now, a suggested plan is a video that YouTube suggests to the viewer. So The viewer is already on YouTube, and it probably wasn't to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I went to YouTube to find golf swings. I went to YouTube to tune into the kids channel or a recipe, and I find your video. What is that topic that causes them to go, I'm going to watch that next? It's what we call suggested strategy. And I feel like this really is the heart of YouTube. 10% of all search volume comes from search. 10% of all YouTube views comes from search across the whole platform. 90% come from suggested, which means 90%, the whole marketplace is getting someone to go, I'm going to watch that unexpected delight. So the goal is, can you come up with an idea that causes your target viewer to click and watch? How closely can you get to that, right? Like that's the goal with a suggested. How close is your finger on the pulse of what your audience wants? You make a video, for example, on the Cancer Channel. I posted a video on Tuesday that is not doing well. The reason being, it's a topic not everyone needs right now, but it's a topic my channel needed to have as part of a library, as part of a set that I'm doing. And that brings me to goal number 3. And that is what we call a sales strategy. But I want you to think of this as like church video strategy, right? You need to have videos that are like, you need to have an About Us trailer video made. That needs to be not about your church, but about your YouTube channel. And I think you need one on all 3 of your YouTube channels, right? Like, hey, this is a ministry page, it's a ministry alert page. Be sure to join our other pages for the Sunday service, et cetera, et cetera. You may want to have church orientation videos up there, right? Like your church's version of new member, right? We typically follow a 5-part process where number 1 is about us, about our founding, who we are, what we stand for. These should be some of the first videos that you get out because they're not going to get a ton of views. These videos are designed to take your target people further into the funnel, further into your community. So you want them to be public so people can find them on their own. But what you want to do is send people to these through website embeds, email alerts, even like you meet a new dude at church. You guys, hey, have you seen the church YouTube channel? Let me send you to the orientation video. And it's like, boom, hey, you may have got this from someone at the church who wanted to like welcome you to our process, what we believe, right? So about us. Then about me. Who is the pastor? Why are you doing this? Then it's going to be about our 3 core platforms, the 3 core things that we're going to talk about, that we're going to stand for, or secondary down the funnel opportunities like, does your church have digital courses for sale? Does your core church do, text per day motivational threads? Not like churches starting threads, but like a scripture a day text threads or things like this, right? You can't, not every church has that up front. So it's like, that's what we do. The 3 core pillars, we have like value statements, but also like, hey, here's how you engage. We have a Facebook group, that sort of thing. So that's your strategy. It's search, suggested, sales. Sales, of course, is just bringing people into the community, right? And that's a good YouTube channel.
On the suggested one, this one's really fascinating to me. It's suggested to people who've already watched one of your videos, or is this something that could show up in somebody else's channel? They're watching, like you said, the bike riding channel, and all of a sudden here comes Owen's video about cancer.
Yeah.
How are you deciding what those topics are that you
Super
think
good.
YouTube is going to feed to other people?
Super good. Yeah. First of all, these suggested videos should be 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Whereas the search videos are 15 to 20. And the 7 to 10 minutes should be, I like to think of them as current or trending events. So it's all, I've got a good buddy, Will Rodriguez, who's sort of an up and coming content creator businessman. He's a great guy. He's a buddy of mine. I've been mentoring him for years. he's been doing a weekly podcast and did one on some recent news of a pastor who fell into sin. He covers this on his show. He gets 45,000 views, some huge number, right? Goes mega viral. So now he's kind of learned, like, I get it. Like you try to talk about things that people are interested in. So that's the number one goal of Suggest is what are your people interested in, right? What's happening in the space, right? There's a shooting in Joel Osteen's church. Like, hey, maybe that's something you should talk about, because whether or not you like Joel, millions of people tune into him and search for his name. Why is it so bad? Whether you love Joel or don't love Joel, why not? Especially, I feel like the pastors that are a little like, maybe like, wow, Joel, I'm not sure Joel, well, why not then try to get some of his sheep listening, right? And why not try to, like, I don't want to sound like a sheep stealer, but I want to be like, use Joel Osteen's name to attract people to your perspective. So you can call this title jacking a little bit. Now, the ultimate goal is to bring a new viewer to the channel, right? That you should always be thinking about the new viewer, just like in church. I think you should always be thinking about the newcomer, right? Chances are 99% of the people there been there before. It's great, but you can do both, right? You can do both. You can make sure new people feel welcome, and you can also like nourish the community. So when a viewer has watched your video in the past, it's easier to get them back. Yes. You want to think about this. So many people tuned in to my last video. What do I need to do to this next video to make sure the same amount plus more come back? And that's why you should have sort of a content strategy where it's like wide net video, maybe a little bit more niche, but you got fewer views. So do another wide net video right after that one, right? And you're building, you're building this audience. So your suggested topics, what we do is we feed our clients with what's trending on YouTube, right? For example, there's a theme going on right now called I Built A. I mean, that's what I call it. Like Ryan Trahan did. I built an outdoor fort. There was a whole outdoor fort theme. Owen, are you telling me I got to do an outdoor fort? No, but if you did that, it would probably do okay. But the what I want to get you guys at is there's other people doing the same thing, right? I built a 7-Eleven in my room. I built a Starbucks in my hallway. These other kid channels, man. But this is what we do. We spend our time looking at trends. What's trending? So we tell you, look, I think we should do a video called I built, I built a 300-person church in 12 months. But Owen, I didn't build it. God built it. This is God's house. No, I get that. Let's do this. Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Let's put this wrapping on it to fit in with a trend. And as the viewers come in, you give all the glory to God. Right? So by taking advantage of what's happening in trends, you could make your own version and get it out there and get big views. And that's where the power is, right? It's not in labeling the video, right? A lot of people want to label, like, this is what the video is. Like this, this is oatmeal. There's oatmeal. See the label? It says oatmeal on it. But I've got another one, and I'm like, world's tastiest breakfast. Right? That's a more appetizing title. That'll get more people into the cookie jar. And now as they're listening to your message, now you got them. Now you get to deliver. So that's my long answer to your short question.
No worries. Christopher has a clarifying question here. The About Us is under sales category of types of videos.
Yeah, understand that my business is working with companies. My business is working with people who sell a product or a service. Maybe they're a SaaS company and they want more monthly subscribers. I serve the church as a ministry, as part of a passion, so the language I use every day, right? It's going to sound more commercial. Search suggested sales. Sales is further down your funnel. It's into your community. Do you have a church Facebook group? Do you have products and services? Take a look at this, guys. Okay. This is what I suggested to my pastor. He's been doing this Brian's daily update, and he's largely been doing like, we're going through Daniel, or we're going through pain, a series on pain. Largely, that's what he's been doing it for years. They get 40 views, 50 views, 100 views, right? Great job. We love it. But he wants, it's like, what do we do with that, Owen? I go, Brian, here's the thing, man. We take all your past episodes. We have AI transcribe them. We put them into a blog, and we make summaries that go into a text reminder. So now what we can do is, on our church website and in our social media, we can create a product for $4.99 a month. For $4.99 a month, we'll send you a text of the day with a word from the day from Pastor Brian, with links to a blog that you can read if you want to read along. Customer loves it. The church goer, whether they're local or somewhere else, say, man, I want a Bible of it. I want a Bible verse of it. I want a lesson of the day. I wish my church did that. $5 a month. Now they get a text every day. You're making $5 a month. It's recurring income. You give it to the Pregnancy Resource Center. You divide it up in two. You give it to the men's ministry and the women's ministry. Right? There is no sin in multiplying the bread and fish that God gives you. And I feel like big problem in the church is, we're not in this to make money. We're not in this to get famous. I get that. I hopefully you guys understand my heart in that, is I get that as a humility thing, as a sanctification thing. But as a strategy, it's like, there are Christians that want to give their money to you. There are Christians that are paying other people to satisfy the same need they're looking for, right? $1.99 a month, and you get access to all of our past whatevers, compiling lessons that you've done at church into courses that are purchased by church members and others for $19.99. So when we talk, Christopher, about sales, about search videos, bringing people in, suggested videos going viral in the newsfeed, that's where your big views come from. And then your sales videos, these are getting your people to go deeper with you, one-to-one call. Letting people know about the products, the services, the opportunities you have for them to engage with you one level deeper. Not all of the levels deeper, one level deeper. For a lot of us, it's going to be an email. It's going to be sort of an inquiry form. Or best case scenario, I think it's a low-cost product that puts the word in front of them every day, and it's your content. And I think that's what all churches should be doing.
I love that. I wonder if for the church, we could call your third bucket or pillar, whatever you're wanting to call it. Could we call it service instead of sales?
I love it. No, the problem with that is they're going to think it's service times. And that is the last thing I want, right? Like, that's all on your church service channel, right? Where you live stream.
Being of service is the way I'm using the word. Because I think when we first started the conversation, you were talking about, we've got to find the alignment of things that we're passionate about with things that people care about online, right? And
it's better than sales. I think that service is definitely better than sales. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Folks, if you've got questions for Owen, please ask them. And again, if you haven't already, we would love to see you at the MCL Modern Church Leader Conference in Dallas, October 21 through 23. If you don't have a ticket and money is the issue, you can literally name your own price. And the team is instructed by Tithely to accept your offer. So go ahead and make an offer, whatever you feel good about. And we would love to see you there and deepen these conversations. We've got a few more minutes, Owen. And I know we've got some other questions that you and I came up with if we don't have others coming in. But one thing that you've hinted at a few times, and that is looking at your results. So let's talk about, what do we actually care about when we're measuring success?
Yeah, I think that the first thing, what do you care about, is you care about measurable success. You care about results. And in the church and in church and faith-based organizations, we run into we're not doing this for the numbers. We're doing this for the kingdom impact. And that's usually a number no one's responsible for and no one can measure. And it's a very corporate way of keeping things safe and maintaining the status quo. And I understand that. This is why I don't do well as full-time staff on a church. I am a disruptor, and I know what God has called me to. Although I, humbly confess, I'm not always the best at explaining it. You know what I mean? Because I am very passionate about stewardship. And when I was diagnosed with cancer, the Lord opened the pathways to me, but I couldn't just like feel my way through beating cancer, right? Like I had tumors of a certain size and they needed to shrink. I had a certain amount of tumors that needed to be decreased. And when we're looking at your YouTube, your Netflix, we want to be looking at core numbers, and we want to be proud of those numbers because they're showing us how to build a house, right? It's you're building a house one brick at a time. Some bricks crumble when you lay them down, and it's like, darn it, I get another brick, right? So what are we looking at? Number one is we are looking at views per week. How many views are you getting per week? And then comparing that to stadium or sanctuary size. I mean, how many people, what would that look like in a conference hall, right? So our goal is for a new channel, 15,000 views a week, right? That's 45,000, 50 to 60,000 views a month. Now, ultimate goal is to get that to 100,000 views a month. And what that enables us to do is create YouTube specific opportunities for the viewer, right? YouTube specific statistics where let's say that we have a free guide, or we have maybe this $4.99 text thread. Maybe it's $1.99 text thread that you're doing. It's a text per day, or you've got something that extracts a name and an email from an online viewer so that you can build an email list that you can then send messages to and encourage and ask to donate, right? Like, so that's number two is we want to measure email list. How big is the email list we're growing? Well, oh, we're not building an email list. No. I'm not asking you what are you going to measure. I'm telling you what you need to be measuring. You need to be mailing and doing an email list, right? This is like a part of it. So views per week, email list. We want to be looking at subscribers. Now, when we look at subscribers, what we're looking at is subscribers per month. Growth, how many subscribers did you get this month? Is like not necessarily, and being mindful of subscriber videos where it's like, this one got, we did a video for a client recently that got 13,000 subscribers. One video brought 13,000 subscribers to the channel. You want to be mindful of that. That's like, whoa, we should do more videos like this. But ultimately, we're looking at how many subscribers did we grow per month. So those are the three big ones. We provide trackers, and we're looking also at Instagram statistics, specifically accounts reached. How many accounts did we reach? And we like to think of YouTube and Instagram as sort of, think of it like Netflix, right? When I go through my Instagram feed and I see, comedy clips from Nate Bargatze or maybe Jerry Seinfeld, right? It's Netflix, but I have to go to Netflix to see the whole thing, right? That's how we think you should run your YouTube channel, and your big stuff goes on YouTube. And then we post the best of on Instagram. We post the best of on Facebook. So ultimately, what we want to see is growth there too. We want to see accounts reached and how many new follows we got. But, that's 5 things. It's 5 or 6 things. And if you make videos that move those numbers up, you will have 10x your impact in the culture by being public with the numbers. And I'm talking like on an Excel spreadsheet that everyone involved in the project gets to see.
If I'm looking at, let's say, a series of videos that I did, I've got 10 videos that I did, and I see one that reached 1,000 people, but it added 200 new subscribers.
Yes.
And I look at another one that has 10,000 views, but it only added, say, 10 new subscribers. Wouldn't you say the first one is more valuable to me? Or how
No,
would you like?
no, I would say you just cracked 2 codes. You
Oh,
just learned you
okay.
just learned how to get subscribers, and then on another video, you just learned how to get views. So, there's not one result we're looking for, right? Like our
Yeah.
strategy of search, suggested, and service. Um, these should all be weapons that you have in your back pocket, right? Just like, in a video game, you collect weapons along the way. Oh, I'm going to use this one for this situation. I'm going to use that one for this situation. You want to be able to, like, man, we need to get some views on the channel, right? Let's do a video that gets views. We know it's going to give you, man, we need to get some watch time on the channel. Like, let's do a live stream or something. Let's get some real watch time. Man, we need to get some subscribers. Well, let's do some shorts, right? Shorts will definitely bring in some subscribers. So, you want to know what the needle movers are and then make videos that accomplish the needle movers. It's never one video. It's never going to be like, oh, if we could just do this, we'll hit it. It's like, no, I need a video that gets views. I need a video that gets, and you need to be able to, like, pull those out of your back pocket. That does take a while, right? In the beginning, it's really about someone like me coaching you. It's really about, like, we got to hold your handlebars till you develop more of a gut, because of the fact that your time has really been spent in congregational work. And so there's like there's like a worldview training that kind of has to shift a little bit. And so we come in, we hold the handlebars, like we put together content systems. We really fine tune, like, who's working on this. Like, we love Mike, but does Mike really need to be involved in this, right? I walked in to my church a couple days ago for a YouTube meeting, and I get in there and I find out that Joel Kramer, the guy who made the video that I came to Jesus in, right? His son does the tech at my church.
No way.
He also runs Joel's YouTube channel, which gets hundreds of thousands of views per week, guys. Expedition Bible. He's doing stuff nobody could do. He's actually in Israel digging up bones. It's a great channel. It's like a National Geographic for believers. He's working in the tech room, and my pastor goes, "Do you think he'd be a good fit to help us for YouTube?" He says he's willing. So, I go in there and I said to him, I said, "Pastor Brian, don't take this the wrong way, but between your content, the 2 skilled technicians that we have here, and my coaching, this YouTube channel could easily be making 5 figures a year in donations, in monthly subscriptions, in a text messaging thread." And I said, "I know that's not your goal. Give the money to the PRC or to the men's ministry. I'm just telling you, we have all the things necessary for a really hot channel." So I say that because I think a lot of churches out there, you've got great people that if you guys could, like, kind of like scrape away the Christianese, like, oh, our humility and all this all for the Lord. Like, if we can kind of like assume that going in, now no one's allowed to bring that up again. Okay. We're all assuming this going into the meeting.
Yep.
Now let's put that aside. It will be considered virtue signaling from now on. Now let's build a channel. Let's build a channel. Let's get 100,000 subscribers. Let's get 10,000 subscribers this year. Let's do a channel designed for men who are struggling to be men in this culture, to raise kids. And that's what we're going to focus on, that audience for like 6 months. Now, after that, could you bring your wife in and focus on women? Absolutely. You can do everything you want to do, but you have to go in with a focus for a while, right? That's what I want to see happen in churches.
All right, I've got a question here from David. He says, thoughts on how important graphic design is as a part of video making?
If I were a graphic designer today, I would be, I think, making lots of money by creating graphics for videos for people. You know, what makes a good video for me and in the video work that we do, keep in mind, most of our clients are business professionals. So they're loan officers or real estate agents, or they own 3 different karate studios in town, right? Like we that's kind of our client. Um, the think about when you watch the news, right? The news is all about putting a graphic right up here, right? Like right up here, and documentaries are all about like showing a clip of the website article that the murder case was found in, right? Like graphics are a key part of what makes a video good. And if I were a graphic designer, I would be using AI to create sort of like faceless videos that I could sell to other people and multiply across different platforms. For example, I would do, videos on, even with this Expedition Bibles, like I would do videos on like five amazing, um, 5 amazing Bible discoveries and images that are vertical images that just kind of zoom in, right? I would be doing that type of thing. I would be making that sort of thing for different companies. Yeah. And doing very well. I think that like now is the time where graphics into videos has never been, but the churches don't know they need this. They're not looking for this. So I think as the graphic designer, you really have to be like a game changer. I'm in a place right now, David Scott, who I know and love, by the way, Air 5. I wish I had the skill. I would be making a fortune right now with it.
Fantastic. Oh, and this has been a great conversation. We're going to bring it to a close in just a minute. Folks, if you are interested in following Owen, go to owenvideo.com, and that'll teach you all the things you need to know about what he does through his business, and he helps churches. And so he will be at the Modern Church Leader Conference. And so if you're not already signed up, we would love to see you October 21 through 23 in Dallas. It's going to be amazing. I think we've got like 45 speakers. I'm going to be speaking about church experience. You're going to be the MC. We've got a lot of friends who will be there and some new friends to be made. So that's going to be a great time. So, yeah. Owen, we've got like a couple minutes left. I'd love to give you the final word. Just kind of give your 2-minute summary of whatever you'd love to say to those who've been listening about the importance of YouTube for the church.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if you are a church leader, and you or a faith-based organizational leader, then and you want to work in a mastermind with me, I want you to reach out to me on Instagram at Owen Video. You can reach me ever. Go to owenvideo.com, and find me there. And let's mastermind together. Let's put together a plan for your church. But here's the thing I want to really leave you with. Okay. owenvideo.com. It's my website. That's my handle, Owen Video, commercial opportunities. God gave us these amazing tools. He made us to be born at this time with these tools. He put me in front of you right now. And maybe some of you are feeling a little convicted about some of the things you may have heard me said. I promise you, it wasn't me. It was from the Lord. God meant for you to hear that. And if you heard God calling you to something bigger that is not sinful, that is boldness. And I want to encourage you to step into that. It may not always look the way you want it to look. You may have to work with wise counsel to get done what God has intended for you. But I want you to know that growing big and reaching an audience that goes beyond your church is not a sin. It's a beautiful thing because those people will hear the gospel through you and the talents and skills that God gave you. So I want to encourage you, if you feel it in your heart, reach out to me, owenvideo.com. And even if you don't want to reach out to me, get started. Make the commitment in your mind. Like, we're going to build this thing. We're going to build an online presence that captivates a nation. So thanks for having me, Phil. I can't wait to go to the event.
Looking forward to it. Well said. I could probably ask you questions for another hour, but we'll wait and do that in Dallas. Thank you, everybody, for joining the conversation. We'll see you next week. We've got a great conversation about SEO and the church, and then we've got 3 still in the lineup, and maybe we'll keep doing it after that. But thanks for joining us today.